Hello everyone, Beth's Golden here. I am coming at you today with a step-by-step how-to tutorial on ATCs, artistic trading cards, as well as using rubber cement. I've had a lot of inquiries about how to use rubber cement, and I am going to show you today the tricks to this wonderful adhesive that I've been using for over 20 years. I learned about it when I was in the College of Education over 20 years ago, and I used it in the classroom on bulletin boards, and I have taken it over into my paper crafting and mixed media as well. It's really a great adhesive that can be permanent if you know what you're doing, and it's not hard. So I'm going to show you how to use this. I also am going to show you some tricks on printing out your digital images. I am going to be playing with this image from Calico Collage, this sheet right here. And you can find her at www.calicocollage. Basically, we're just going to go through the step-by-step process of how to make an ATC. I'm going to show you a fun little spooky trick that I know. And then I'll show you what goes on the back of an ATC and everything you need to know. So anyway, first of all, in case you're not familiar with the term ATC, it means artistic trading card. They are 2.5 by 3.5 in length and width and whatnot. I got that backwards, bear with me. They're roughly the size of a baseball card, and if they're not bulky, they do fit inside of a baseball card sleeve. So usually when you do ATC swaps, you'll swap out a total of 9 because a baseball card sleeve can hold 9 baseball cards in it. And just like baseball cards, on the back of your ATC is the stats of the artist, or the baseball card, the player. And I'll show you what goes on the back. And usually people make these to trade them. It's kind of fun to work on a small scale. When I first found out about ATCs, I was a little bit scared because it is such a small scale, but I really love it, and I have a lot of great work from other individuals who also make ATCs who are kind of big right now in the media world. So let's get started. The first thing I did with this is I did print it up in the regular color. I got my digital download. I picked this out from Calico Collage, and she sent it to me real quick, no wait time. And then I printed it up, and I printed it up in its original color. And then what I wanted to do was print it on vellum. So this is it printed on vellum. If you want to print anything ever on vellum, first of all, this is my printer issue. This is not Calico Collage. I will not be using this for this demonstration, but these down here. But if you ever want to print on vellum, what you need to do is you need to take your regular piece of copy paper and loosely adhere the vellum to it, and then slip it on through to your on your printer. And that way it will pull it through just fine. Sometimes when you print on vellum, it won't pull it through. It'll pull through the next paper and you won't get a good clean print. So when printing on vellum, just make sure you adhere it nice and smooth onto another piece of paper, and then you go from there. So for this particular card, I think I'm going to make her. So I'm going to cut out, trim her down on both of my sheets. I want it from the vellum and from this sheet. And again, these are 2.5 by 3.5 in size. The thing I like about doing artistic trading cards, when you want to have multiple prints of the same image, like for example, I needed this on I needed it just the way it came, and also on vellum, and I don't have to buy it again. I just kept printing it, so I paid one price for it, which is really economical. Okay, so this one. Oh, and let me show you real quick. I also changed the coloring in my computer a little. I kind of wanted it with black and white and then the colors to pop. And I ended up with that one. So you can see the difference, right, like so. So that's fun to do sometimes as well. We're not going to use that for this particular one. Okay, now it's time for me to cut my vellum. Again, I'm going to use the same image because I'm going to layer them. Vellum used to be really popular in scrapbooking about 18 years ago, and then it kind of lost its popularity, or I lost my desire for it, and I didn't do much with it or see it often, and all of the sudden it's started to come back again, and it is pretty cool. It's a cool canvas to work on because it is slightly transparent, but it's also it also has the image that comes through on it real nice, so it's fun. I'm getting back into it. Something else that's fun is the clear acetate. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside now. I am going to be adhering this to the ATC card. So I'm going to go ahead and get my base set up now, which is going to be 2.5 by 3.5. Good Lord, I hope I just measured that right. I'm not sure if I did. I might have made it too small when I was talking. Nope, that's right. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to actually make up the rest of my ATCs a little bit later with all of these lovely images. All right, so I am done with this for now. Now we're going to do this. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do before I adhere this to this sheet is I am going to get this done. Now I want it to look kind of spooky because this is, you know, she's kind of freaky looking. So I want to stick with the freaky looking. You know what gave me this idea? I'm embarrassed to even say it. Is Cinco de Mayo is right around the corner here, and I live in the Southwest. So we really do enjoy Cinco de Mayo, and I wanted to, I had that on the brain, and then I thought sugar skulls because the Day of the Dead, which is actually like November 2nd or something in Mexico, or any of the Mexican food chains, or Mexican food, or anything. I always think of Day of the Dead. So, and sugar skulls. So this reminded me of it, and here I am. So what we're going to do is we're going to layer it, make it spooky. But what we're going to do is, I have it lined up perfectly now. I am just going to offset it a little bit so that she kind of looks eerie. So it went from this to this. So can you see that she kind of looks a little bit spookier now? And I'm going to, I don't want to put any adhesive on this because if I do, you can see through it. So I am going to use brads on it. One hole there. Okay. One hole over here. right. Okay, now I need to trim off the edges of her, but as you can tell, that vellum and just makes her look a little bit eerie, which is what I want. I want to trim down the edges. I'm going to flip it over and just trim it off because I don't want it to go over my card. There we go. Okay, I can just put this on the floor. The maid will get it later. The maid being me. All right, and then from here, I'm going to go ahead and show you what goes on the back of the ATC card. We're going to permanently rubber cement it down, and I'm going to add 1 or 2 little embellishments to it as well. So, just like on the back of a baseball card, on the back of your ATC card, you want to have all of the stats about the card and the person who made it. So if you're a blogger or you have a YouTube or you're trying, to make friends in the community, it's always a good idea to include all that information on the back of your card. So I'm going to stamp an image on the back of this. All right, so I'm going to fill out the title of this. I haven't decided what I'm going to call it. I might call it Pretty Girls and Sugar Skull. I don't know. My name is the artist, and then your information is if you want to give your blog, your YouTube, your Facebook page, your Twitter, whatever means of social media you use is what I put down. I would not put down my address or my phone number or even my email address. In this day and age, you just don't need that out there. You know what I mean? Then this thing right here, the number. Is this one in a series? For this particular card for me, this is not a standalone one in a series card. This is one of 9 because as you saw the other 9 images. I'm going to make 9 ATC cards. So I'm going to write down 1/9 and then the date I did it. So that is what goes on the back of your card, and it's important that you have that. Now, I'm going to show you how to do the permanent rubber cement method. There are 2 different ways that you can use rubber cement, both of which require you to get all of the rubber cement completely all over. You don't want to just put it in one spot like you can do, a liquid glue. Sometimes you can just dab it. That's not how rubber cement works. You need to cover the entire paper. Don't worry that it's going off of the edges, because when it dries, you just rub it off and it comes right off. Okay. Now, if this was just a temporary adhesive or something you weren't that concerned with coming apart, that's enough. You could slap that on and be done with it. And you have a pretty good adhesive. It'll glue nicely down. However, if you want it to be permanent, what you need to do is you need to do what I did and brush it on in one direction on one way. And then on the other sheet, the opposite direction. Get a nice, good coverage. It needs to go off of your paper. Do you see how I'm getting everywhere? Like the whole thing is totally covered. When you're working with rubber cement, and let's say you're in the middle of something. Now we're going to let this dry before I go move on to that. We're letting this dry completely. If this was a temporary adhesive and you just did one side, you could slap it on right away. You wouldn't want to let it dry. But since this is a permanent adhesive and we want it to last for forever, basically, we have to let the whole thing dry. And it doesn't take long at all. And we're going to do something in the meantime as it dries. So when you're working with rubber cement, let's say that I had a couple of these to do, and so I'm done with this and I set it aside. Most people just, there it goes. You don't want to do that. You don't have to seal it between, but you do need to make sure that the top is fully on the jar. Otherwise, it's going to dry out and you're going to be left with literally rubber that will do you no good at all. So when you're working with rubber cement, just make sure that between usages, if you don't want to seal the whole thing up, which is really the best option, just go ahead and just make sure that you get the whole top covered with the lid, okay? But we're done with that for now. So I'm actually going to take this and set this up here to dry. And yeah, I have rubber cement everywhere, but that's okay. I'm just going to rub it off. And it comes right off so easy. I like to call them rubber cement boogers because that's kind of what they look like. Okay. And then, you know, I'm just going to wipe it on the floor. My maid will come through and clean. Maid being me. I don't have a maid. I clean my own house. All right. So then from there, I'm going to make some cute little, well, I don't know if this is going to make the cut or not, but I want to use some Renia foil paper and make a few flowers for my ATC card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to slip my foil through, and I'm just going to cut one. There's this. The cool thing about this foil paper, you guys, is it actually is paper, and it just is infused with foil. So if I were to, let me tear it so you can see, you can actually see the paper inside, but it has foil on both sides that's been fused to it. So it has the look and the flexibility of like foil, like real foil, but it holds up better, keeps its form, and is more durable than foil. Like, so that it's like paper. So that's why they call it foil paper. It's really neat stuff. It's Renia. Originally came out of Germany. They used to make their Christmas stars with it. So it's pretty cool stuff. I really like it. And it makes, for this project, I think it's going to make some really fun flowers. So I'm going to do it out of that one. And I like to always do mine upside down just so I can see. Okay. And what's cool is the color on the back is gold. So on the back of all their colored papers, it's their gold, which is really nice. Okay. Just that one. I'm going to go ahead and just make a flower really quick. I'm just using some Beacon 3-in-1. And then I want to throw on top of that a red little piece. And then, should I do a purple too on top of it? Oh, I started to curl those up before I was ready. Yeah, that's cute. I'll do a purple as well. Normally I don't use these little center pieces, but I think I'm gonna this time. Okay, I'm gonna make it more 3D in just a minute. As soon as I get it on the paper, I will. And then I'm gonna do a cute little center with the green. And I want to do a leaf. All right, so now the cool thing is this can stay flat if it's going to go into an album. It's perfectly fine to stay flat, or we can let the glue set up a little bit and we'll pull up the petals and such and bend the flower leaf, which I'm probably going to do. So we're going to push this off to the side. I am not pushing this off to the side so the maid can clean it. Me, again, I don't have a maid. But I want to save those so for the rest of my cards. All right, so now we are ready to adhere our rubber cement and make this one piece. The most important thing at this point that you need to remember as you do your permanent rubber cement is to line it up, because once it attaches, you can't get it up again. So if you get it crooked, you're kind of out of luck. So you need to make sure that you line it up right. And then you're going to go over the edges and you're just going to rub with your fingers or your finger to get the rest of that adhesive off. The beauty of rubber cement not only is that it's permanent or temporary, is that it does not wrinkle. Your project will not wrinkle at all. Okay, so see, here it is. It's not wrinkled at all. Still got to get some of the boogers off. That's what I call it. It's probably gross. I shouldn't say that, huh? Oh, did you guys just hear my tummy growl? I don't even know why I did that, because I'm not even hungry. Maybe because tonight's Tuesday and I'm thinking about tacos. And I'm working on, you know, something that reminds me of Mexican food. Then I'm just going to ink the edges a little bit. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to take my little flower and I'm going to decide where I want to put it. Now I made the flower because I thought I might have to mask one of these. I wasn't sure. I might, because that little red is poking out there. Here, this. And I'm actually, the cool thing is too, is like this corner is coming up and it's bothering me. So the vellum you can kind of see through when you add adhesive, but we're going to put the flower over it so you won't even be able to tell that I did that. And my beacon is on its last leg. I mean, I use everything out of that bad boy. I probably am ready to open up a new one, if you know what I mean. It's just been, it's time. It's time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just add that right there, just as a little piece. And then, see, now I'm looking at it and I'm like, do I want to do a little centerpiece, or am I okay with that? I think I want a little centerpiece right there. This is a cute little ATC card, and using digital art and vellum, and then some rubber cement, and that's how you do it. I'm going to clean her up a little bit off camera and get my beauty shot done and post it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you learned something about rubber cement. Hopefully it's not as scary as it might have seemed to you before. It's really not scary stuff. Just the rules are, when you are using it for permanent adhesive, you do both sides. You use the brush and you go opposite direction. So you go up, paint it on up on one side and across on the other side that you're going to adhere, let it dry, smack it on there, and you're good to go. If you want to use not a permanent adhesive that's a little bit more forgiving and that you can move it around, you just have to cover one side and put it where you want. And it's real easy cleanup. You just run your finger and get all the boogies off. So, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Until next time, happy crafting!